Welcome to Sweat, Tears and Equity, a podcast by Fortech Investments, where we discuss the untold truths of funding and funding startups. Our guests are founders, investors, and other players from the ecosystem who learn these valuable lessons the hard way. They share the things that they wish they knew earlier about the challenges that lie in this journey, the things that no one prepared them for, so you and other founders can navigate this bumpy road successfully. Cool. So welcome, Grégoire. Thank you so much for being here. You are a super interesting persona for us, and we thought about inviting you for like more than 2 months. I'm really happy that you are here because you are, you have so many roles, and you are actually super important in the ecosystem in terms of advocacy, and you are an local ecosystem ambassador, but also you wear the hat as an entrepreneur, as an investor. So there's a lot of things that we can actually talk about today with you, and hopefully the people that are watching us would also see a little bit of a different perspective, since you are our first, let's say, guest that's not a Romanian local, but it's local based. So yeah, welcome, and please, just to open, maybe you could tell us a little bit about your background and history, and also I'm curious about which is the role that you identify most with.
Thank you so much for the invitation. Mulțumesc foarte mult, mulțumesc din suflet. If I need to pick one word to define myself, is I'm an entrepreneur. I think I'm a natural born entrepreneur. I think that I've always been willing to become an entrepreneur. And this is what I do. So I'm very gifted and very lucky that I'm an entrepreneur today. I have multiple hats, but among all the things that I've been doing, being an entrepreneur is, I believe, what I do best, or I hope this is what I do best. At least I'm trying to work very hard and to learn from every possible mistake that I do. And believe me, I do still lots of mistakes. To become a better entrepreneur and to have a bigger impact, more positive impact through all the businesses that in which I'm involved, because it's not only about the money, it's not about the revenue, the profitability. It's also about having a positive impact on people and yes, in everything I do. I think this is super important. Yeah.
Cool.
This is what would define me as an entrepreneur. Really, the willingness to try. To have the right angle, to do the right thing, not in terms of growth only, but in terms of impact.
Super. Your answer was so straightforward. It's interesting that you've chosen this hat of the entrepreneur, and you've highlighted with so much trust. Please tell me about your experience of working with, let's say, team members from Romania. Also in your business endeavors, but not only, maybe also through in terms of partnerships, in terms of what you've met in your local events. I know you're also connected to the French Tech Institute, I guess. How do you find, and how do you relate with people locally? What would you say that is specific to Romania and is meaningful in terms of business, but also a negative thing that you found in terms of how people are building here products, how they're building companies, and what would be something that they could actually change and improve themselves?
So, first of all, as a French, being in Romania for many years, because I came in 2006 and I became an entrepreneur in Romania in 2007, as a French, it was easy for me to adapt. I've been doing business with other countries across the region. I've been traveling across multiple countries in the region on a regular basis. And this level of cultural proximity, I could never find it in Southeastern Europe better than here in Romania. So for me as a French, it was relatively easy, first of all. Now I'm super biased because my wife is Romanian, my 3 kids are French-Romanian, my life is here. A big part of my businesses are here. So I myself Romanian partly, right? So this is the way I feel. And now in terms of in which areas do Romanian business professionals excel versus in which domains do Romanian professionals might have some room in improvement. I don't want to generalize, but from my feeling through the multiple ventures in which I've been involved, I think that when launching startup ventures, I can find some people with good work ethics, usually in Romania. I can find people who are hardworking. I can find people who are problem solvers. I think that Romanians are super good at solving any issue that can arise. Technical and non-technical, by the way. It's about the mindset. Now, to answer your question, in which areas do I struggle to find great people? Sales, business development. It's very hard for me to find amazing salespeople. Whenever it's about going to pitch client, being a corporate client, being an SME, I always find it difficult to surround myself with good chief commercial officers. I'm a sales guy myself. This is how I started, right? My first job in France when I was a student, I used to sell printing machines in retail. So I'm a sales guy. I've always been a sales guy. So I'm even more picky because I'm a sales guy myself. And yes, I think we struggle to find such people here. But I think this is due to the culture. It's also due to the problems in education at the Romanian university, at the Romanian schools. Let's put it like this: those are not the best environments to allow people to express themselves, to feel comfortable when they speak in public, to make their points, especially if their views is different from the view of the majority. And I think that another aspect on which I think that we should do better in Romania, it's how we approach risk. People, once again, in general, and there are many exceptions, but if I would have to draw a general line here, I think that it's hard to find people who are really willing to take risks. The bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. So sometimes it's important to take risks in the corporate world. In the startup world, it's always necessary. It's an obligation to take risk. And I've met in my professional life as an entrepreneur in Romania some amazing people, brilliant, but they could have become amazing entrepreneurs, but they said, you know what? I'm going to choose the career path in a big corporation. It's safe, it's stable. And of course it's safe, it's stable. But man, with your brain, with your talent, you could have become an amazing entrepreneur. Once again, it's cultural.
True.
As the French, we are not the best. I mean, I'm talking for myself. But we are doing a bit better. The best, of course, are North American people who are really they have this culture of risk more than we do. It's also once again due to the educational system. So to summarize, Romanians are amazing problem solvers, good work ethic, hard workers. I love interacting with Romanian in the business environment and in a friendly environment. However, when it's about risk taking or ability to pitch or sell, then I think we have some room for improvement in Romania. This is why I launched actually my first business in the field of education. It's my latest business. In the beginning of the year, I launched Beyond Business School. Okay. I started with an executive MBA, 120 hours. It's a fast-track executive MBA program. It works super well. We had 31 students in the first cohort. We are now preparing for the cohort number 2. We target to have 40 students. And there is a big part of it, which is public speaking, business development, sales, because there is need there. So I'm an entrepreneur. So what is my role in society? My role in the society as an entrepreneur is to identify issues and to bring solutions to these issues. And this is exactly what I'm doing. I see that there is a lack of great commercial people. So I build up an executive MBA, which partly resolves this issue.
Super spot on everything that you said, actually. And yeah, it is a little bit rooted in the background in terms of education. And also hard times brought out, I guess, in us that problem-solving component that we actually have it in our genes. The problem-solving thing comes also as a, let's say, as an outcome of not such a good context. Then again, you're super right in terms of how we market ourselves and how we brand ourselves. That's a problem here because it comes back to believing in ourselves a lot. This is why you're meeting people with huge minds, with great potential, but they are seeking safe roles. They are seeking, a safe, let's say, career, rather than go and do something impactful and meaning. Hopefully through education and layers that you're bringing into our, let's say, ecosystem, we're about to change things because we see a little bit of change. And it comes from access to information. It comes from success examples. we see a little bit of change, and hopefully, you will also find those people in the commercial area that will have that type of, belief in themselves, will pitch just like the Americans do, but it will take a little bit of time. You said that you came here in 2006. How do you find the Romanian startup ecosystem when it was first in its inception phase and it was launched? And how do you find it right now? How do you see that transition from the early stages of it, where it is at this moment? Because as I said, I consider you part of the ecosystem, and probably you've seen the changes. How do you feel those changes are? How do you feel that the Romanian ecosystem is playing a role in the central, eastern, and southeastern area? And how do you see it projected in the future in terms of, let's say, a much more connected ecosystem in Europe, just like in the States?
So I'm going to answer to this question by also completing my previous answer. Romanian people are highly adaptable. And in the specific context of the question you just asked, things went super fast for the evolution of the Romanian tech startup innovation ecosystem. And it's because these Romanian people have this amazing strength. I think this is also due to history and conquest, and the Romanian people, they had to deal with multiple types of external powers, and they had somehow to live with it, to fight it, to adapt it. And through Romanian history, I think that this has forged in Romanian this capacity to evolve quickly, to adapt quickly. And at the startup level myself, I've seen some amazing things. I mean, us the French, for example, we are very bad at adapting. I'm going to tell you to give a very good example, and I need to bring as much business cases or case studies in this interview that we are going to have today. So I'm going to take a concrete example. My first business, because you mentioned that I came indeed in 2006. So 2007, I launched my first business. It was a BPO business process outsourcing. And I sold this company when it reached 1,000 employees. Me and my business partners, we sold the company when we reached 1,000 employees in Romania and Bulgaria. And from this very much, the name of the company back then was CallPoint, from this very much startup DNA type of an environment, very entrepreneurial, almost from one day to another, we became part of Telus International, which is a big global organization, huge one of the largest companies. Telus Corp is actually one of the largest companies in Canada. And our employees, our Romanian employees, they had to go from French manage because my business partners were mostly French in this business, French entrepreneurial BPO company to jump in somehow of the unknown, this big global corporate company. And I was saying, you know what? From CallPoint to Telus, we are going to lose lots of employees along the way, because the people joined our company because they believed in everything that we built up in terms of career. They are going to leave. Bottom line, no one left, or almost no one left, because these people are smart. They were easily adaptable. We became to have lots of reporting lines,
Sure.
much more
corporate profile, mature profile of a company.
Exactly. But people, they just got it. They adapted, and they thrived in this environment, and it was perfectly. And I was back then asking myself, like, wow, if we would have done this in France, it would have been a revolution, first of all, because we are a revolutionary country. French people are revolutionary people. Most people would have left the company.
Okay.
No, these Romanian teams here, they were so easy to adapt, and it was the best example I could find in my career as an entrepreneur. I might have other, but this was the most striking example that came to my mind. Yeah.
Do you think also it was done through a sort of a leadership that you didn't acknowledge at that moment? Maybe transparency, belief in the company and the future of the company? Because Romanian people is not that they're easily to be pleased, but they actually love to have that safety that the future and the company that they work for has a future and goes somewhere. And I think that's a good starting point. And I'm curious that maybe through leadership and through the fact that you were basically talking to them, maybe that was something that glued and that was...
True.
Yeah.
True. We communicated very properly, and the buyer, Telus International, I mean, is an amazing company, an example of leadership, really people, human people. I mean,
so yeah, humans.
so this is also why it worked, but still it was a major shift, and people went through this shift extremely smoothly, and some people still work for the company today. And I'm telling you, I mean, this acquisition happened in 2014, right? So.
Okay, amazing. This brings me to another topic that I wanted to discuss to you, and also as a lesson for entrepreneurs and people that are building companies. Is the exit phase of a startup something that you think of, let's say, in the moment that you're building the startup? How do you mitigate? I mean, how do you set up yourself? Maybe this is the question. If you are a startup or if you are a founder that believe in sustainability, in the value of the product, and you're looking in terms of the long journey, do you need to look at the exit phase since the beginnings, or be aware of the exit phase since the beginning, so that you will be much more prepared, and also address it in terms of business and business knowledge, and also business tactics and strategy? How do you think, like, Romanian local entrepreneurs should look at the exit phase, especially when they are at the beginning? Let's say seed phase. Let's say they're just getting into the market, right? And they need to prepare for growth and all that. Do they need to be aware of the exit strategy, or at least be conscious about it?
So to the question, should founders think about the exit strategy when they launch their company? No, they need to think about this before. I mean, this is my experience talking. My latest exit, I sold a Romanian startup company named Fenix. We sell refurbished smartphones, right? There were two companies launching the sale of refurbished smartphones in Romania. It was Flip, that was taken over by EMAG, and they were us taken over quickly by Recommerce. So let me, once again, I think it's super important for the people who are listening to us right now that I take a concrete example. So I'm going to take this business case. April 2021. April 2019, I launched this company named Phoenix.eco. We knew that it was super, after a diligent market survey, we knew that it was big, huge potential for selling refurbished smartphones in Romania, because there was no players in Romania. In France, 15% and in Germany, 15% of the phones sold are refurbished, right? So it's pre-owned phones. I mean, they were second-hand, and if the screen was a bit scratched, replacing the screen, the battery not operating 95%, replace it with a new one. Okay. We went through this. But before I launched, I said, you know what? Before we even launch the company, first of all, I want to secure our future partners, the telcos. So I locked down the telcos around the project. And to your point, I started discussing with all the big players for refurbished smartphones in Europe, telling them, look, we are looking at this for Southeastern Europe. You are not here yet. What about we have a call? LinkedIn messages, right? The CEOs, 4 CEOs of leading and founders of leading refurbished smartphone companies in Europe, 2 in Scandinavia, 1 in Germany, 1 in France, take the call with me. Okay, I'm Greg, French Romanian. I want to launch this refurbished smartphone here in Romania, and then expand in the region. Entrepreneur to entrepreneur, or business leader to business leader. Please let me know how you do the business. How do you see the future? Are you planning to expand in our region at one point? So very friendly meeting, conference call like this. And from those conversations, I said, yes, no one is coming to our region, so we have the time to launch, deploy, and scale. And of course, let's keep in touch with them. So this is exactly what I did. I sent an email the day of the launch with the press release. Hello, guys, it was great talking to you. We are launching officially. And then once per month, to send them a quick email about the updates. Oh, you know what? Now we are officially, it was 1 month after the launch. We are now selling our refurbished phones in Vodafone shops in Romania. We are discussing with Orange. We are going to be on their website, e-commerce website. Stay with me here because it's where it's getting interesting. Every time I was sharing these updates with them, it was not to brag. It was because I wanted to keep the relationship. One of these companies, Recommerce, I'm going to Paris on a regular basis for business. I went there, we meet for lunch, we meet for dinner, I come to your office, we become friends. I actually sold the company, Fenix, 14 months. It was the quickest exit for a Romanian startup. 14 months after we launched, we sold 100% of the company to Recommerce, which is the company from which we initially took the idea from in terms of business model, because their business model was very interesting. It was not a marketplace. I'm not going to get into the details. It's not interesting for our audience here. But what I'm saying here is that the exit not only was planned as a possible scenario, as a possible option on the table, but it was prepared already with the companies that would eventually potentially acquire my company. And why is it important for every single founder to have an exit plan in mind before they even launch? Because out of serendipity, it can bring a joint venture, it can generate an exit. Worst case scenario, what happens? You learn from your competitors from other countries because they are already operating maybe for a few years or for many years in an industry to which you're new. So in any case, it's a win. And in the best case scenario, it's an exit if you want to exit. I decided to exit from this company because it was much more cash intensive than I would love. To be honest, it was not the best exit in my life, but it was the exit at the right time and it was the right partner. Because thanks to this deal, now I still serve the company today. I don't have any shares in the company. But from Romania, we expanded to Moldova, to Greece, to Bulgaria, to Hungary, to Slovakia, to Czech Republic, to Slovenia, and to Poland.
So we super scaled.
Super scale. Why? Because our entrepreneurial spirit, because we are startup builders, plus the corporate striking power of Recommerce, nothing can stop us. So yes, we need always to be prepared with exits. I did 4 exits. Maybe I'm about to prepare a 5th exit soon as well. I'm not saying that exit is the best thing that can happen, but it always needs to be on the table. The entrepreneurs, they need to be ready. And I think the best entrepreneurs are the ones who have this capacity to anticipate. And in order to anticipate, you always need to have several cards in your game. And exit should always be there. You know, you might want to exit because your company is not performing as well as it could. And instead of having the company dying, you might want to sell the company, even though it's not going to be a huge price, but at least the company will survive and you will still do a little bit of money, but most importantly, you will maintain the team and you always have built assets, you know. In any startup company that goes well, you always have assets. You have a team that you've built that has value. You have contract that you won that has a value. I mean, there are many things you can... Exactly. So the problem of people, they see, you know, but so my biggest exit was my first one. I told you it was bigger, CallPoint to Telus International, 1,000 employees. 1,000. It was, of course, the biggest. But my full exit actually took me 10 years. It was 1 decade from the time we built the company, from the time I did my full exit, right? So it was a very, very, very long game. Big game, but very, very big game. Now I'm not looking at creating new startups to sell them as soon as possible, sure, but I know how to navigate that, and I know how to build an exit strategy, and I know how to make it work. But most importantly, something that I don't understand in Romanian entrepreneurs, just like in any entrepreneurs in the region, is that, in some minor extent in France as well, they see competition as the enemy. And this is something that I said, like, you know what? I discuss with all my competitors. You have no idea. I keep my time discussing with competitors, not only competitors from other markets, but also competitors from the Romanian market. And I'm super surprised when I want to discuss. I say, okay, I'm Greg from X company. We are competing because you do this. And some people feel like, you know, I want to trick them up, I want to manipulate them, I want to come and steal some ideas or clients, whatever. It's a matter of mindset. Competitors should be my friends. Why? We operate in the same business area. We have the same challenges. And most of the time, if we work together, we can maybe change the legal frame. We can, learn from each other in terms of growth. And there are much more positive outcomes in discussing with competitors rather than a downside. Of course, you don't divulge your entire strategy, and you don't give all the name of your clients. But this mindset, I think, is also something that is missing in many entrepreneurs. So yes, prepare an exit from day one through as many potential buyers or future partners as possible. And not only be open to them, they are your competitors in other markets, but locally, if you have competitors, go and have a coffee, a beer, or dinner with them, and share as much as you can, as long as it's not confidential information that can go against backfire in terms of business. So I think entrepreneurship is all about the mindset. I mean, eventually it's all about being fair. It's all about being open. It's all about be willing to improve all the time. It's all about having a positive impact, and the rest, the reputation is going to work like this.
So these are two valuable super lessons for our specific, I would call it, in terms of persona, in terms of who we are. Your sales profile helped you a lot in terms of going outside, mapping the business, talking to people, gathering information. That's super useful, not only just building the product in your garage on own suppositions, but actually going outside and creating that type of network that will possibly trigger a huge business opportunity, like an exit or like a partnership. So you need to do that from the moment that you're starting, even before the product, even before the rollout. Understand your scene, write your business scene, map it out, and work towards being connected. Also, another lesson that's super valuable is us being super closed. When it comes to, let's say, another business that is doing almost the same thing or selling the same service. Yeah, we don't have that mindset. And now I look at this space, let's say, for instance, ESG, or let's say green energy, where you are also supposed to build a community and go towards legislation and, create that leverage. That helps a lot. And you are so super spot on. I think it's actually even more powerful to be engaged and work as like one entity. Yeah, of course, it's business, it's competition. I truly get it. But it gives you a lot of leverage in your industry. It actually helps you a lot, especially in the growing phase. I actually see in you, Grégoire, something that's super. I often see it even in myself, because I'm also building a startup, right? I'm also building a product. I've been exposed to a lot of discussions with VCs, with angel investors, pitching what we're doing, right? Never have I been asked, how are you, my friend? How do you feel in this? Oftentimes, entrepreneurs have a lot of things to deal with during a build-up, right? Maybe a lot of us don't have an income. We're only focused on the product. A lot of us have a lot of problems in terms of relationship, in terms of what's happening in our family, in terms of what's happening inside the team. Nobody is asking that question. How do you feel? How are you? And this is about the culture of grinding, because you work till you get burned out, but you do not have that support system. Maybe you have some people around you, like advisors, but coming to mental health and also having that, when you're building, you always have that component of fear, right? But you have to be super courageous because you're going towards your goal, your objective, your vision. But sometimes you need a support system. Oftentimes we're all by ourselves, grinding. How do you have that balance between mental health support and being super focused and on point? And also having the right people behind you, especially when you're trying to raise funds, let's say, or find mentors, because it's about the journey a lot. How do you do with the emotional aspect?
Yeah, so it's really a great question, and I believe that all entrepreneurs should be aware of one thing. Entrepreneurship is a gigantic graveyard. We know the statistics. Out of 100 tech startups in Europe, 80 to 90% of them, they will never reach their 4th birthday. So when you know these statistics, you understand that you need to be a bit crazy to become an entrepreneur. I'm crazy enough to have chosen this path, but I got lucky because my first company was in the 10% of the startups that survived, and it gave me somehow a faith. And not only it's hard statistically to survive, but it's an emotional roller coaster, which not many people can handle. This is why I believe that the quality number one, the strength number one for any entrepreneur is resilience. I think that we need to be extremely resilient. We need to be strong. How many people I've seen giving up, burning out? We'll talk about the burnout later on, but along the way and leaving the world of entrepreneurship to join the corporate comfort. So if we are crazy enough to jump in the entrepreneurial roller coaster, we need to understand the risk, and we need to be not only strong starting with, but also we need to be very well surrounded. And when I'm talking about being very well surrounded, here I'm not referring about being very well surrounded with business partner, but first and foremost, you need to have a family that supports you. When I decided to be with the woman who became my wife and the mother of my 3 kids, at the very beginning of the relationship, I said, look, I'm going to tell you frankly what my life looks like. This is the type of entrepreneurial episodes, nightmare that I'm going to go through. You'll see moments of nightmares, as I said, but some moment of dreams, some moment of overexcitement, some moment where I will be a bit depressed. Because this is my job, because I'm an entrepreneur. And by the way, not only I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm a serial entrepreneur. So somehow you multiply the intensity of the positive and the negative experiences. This is for the theory, because then you become more and more resilient. Your skin is getting thicker and thicker, and then you can pretty much go through any type of experience. But the fact, to make it short, the fact that my wife is supporting me all the time and she's next to me, and my 3 kids as well, this is extremely important. And you know, from my experience, some friends of mine launching a business whereas it didn't go well in their couple or with their family. If you have a divorce and a company that do not go well, then it's extremely difficult to go through. So this is one of the things I wanted to share. And in terms of being resilient, I'm not going to brag here because I went through a burnout in March 2014, and it's been a very, very, very tough experience. So I'm not unbreakable. I'm not invincible. I believe I'm strong thanks to my experience. But at one point, I have a breaking point, but I know how to know if I'm ever get close to the burnout. I can feel, because I went through it, so I know how
recognize
to
the pattern.
Exactly, good point. A good way to put it. To recognize the pattern to avoid it. And you know, I have lots of things in my life. I do sports daily. Actually, right after this nice interview, I go to the gym. So I work out, or I run, or I do swimming once per day. That's number one. Second of all, I don't do meetings in meeting rooms. I do walking meetings in the park systematically. Third of all, I do only 1 meal per day. I do intermittent fasting for 3 years, so only dinners. Fourth of all, I'm trying to stay away from alcohol, because same here pattern, many entrepreneurs, drugs, alcohol. We are exposed because from time to time, when you go through hell in your own business because you've put all your money there, all your energy, all your heart, all your soul, when it goes wrong, you need to escape. You might want to start drinking every day. So we need to be very careful to those things. Sleep. Whenever I feel like I'm super tired, I don't put my alarm clock in the morning. That's infrequent. I let my body wake up when my body decides to wake up. It means that when I wake up naturally. Okay. So that's another thing. Another thing is not to travel too much as well. I was in Paris last week. I took the first flight very early morning. I came back in the next day at night. I regret it. I shouldn't have done it. So little things like this that prevent me from burning out once again, because I'm an individual at risk. And anyway, anyone is at risk in the business world, but especially at entrepreneurs. What is the problem now? The problem is that whenever you go through a burnout, most people would not want even to admit it, because it might make you look weak or unable to resist stress, so unable somehow to resist the entrepreneurial roller coaster. So this is what is absolutely terrible about burnout, is that most people who go through it, especially in entrepreneurs, they will hide it and they would suffer in silence. So it's a very complicated topic, very close to my heart also. That's why I'm always advocating for recognizing burnout and supporting each other when it comes to burnout. Because actually, so I was going through research from Deloitte. 70% of people from the business world, they experiment at least once in their life a burnout. 70%, can you imagine? So if you are looking at the statistic in entrepreneurs, I think that entrepreneurs, at one point, there is always a breaking point. But now you have burnout and burnout. Small burnout, big burnout. I went through a very big burnout myself. It took me 6 months to fully recover. And I got back stronger, but most importantly, wiser. And now there are things that I don't do anymore. Okay. Trying to avoid working in the weekend as well. You know, I did it last weekend, but I'm trying to, family time, sports time, vacation time. I'm an individual at risk also because I have ADHD. That's another condition. I mean, which is my biggest strength as an entrepreneur, but which is also my biggest weakness.
Yeah, super nice that you said, especially in the belief support system that you need, and that the first layer is at home, basically. So that's quite important, basically, to have, or at least know how to make, I don't know how to address. I guess that's the word. Sometimes we switch. We are employees, but sometimes we switch. We just need to go towards building our own future, our own product. It happens. It happened with me. And I would never return to a corporate profile, never in my life. I cannot return because it burns so much inside to build something, to build a product when you believe it. And yeah, I know the stats. I know everything. I know the lessons. A lot of them failed. Of course, we all know the lessons, I guess. You did. You knew the lessons. And you knew how dangerous it could be. And also what you expose yourself to. Because, yeah, it's burnout and burnout. You can manifest burnout as an employee. And I don't say that's easy. We saw what happened just in Timișoara some time ago, and we saw a horrific case. In entrepreneurship, it comes also with so much pressure because everything is relying on your shoulders, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You have the pressure. You need to make it. But I guess you need to have that craziness in you. And I love it. I love when... Do you recognize that craziness or that, let's say, super ingredient when you look from the perspective of an investor, let's say, or you look at an ambitious entrepreneur? What are you looking in as a human ingredient? And because you know the lessons, because you know the profile, and of course you recognize patterns when it comes to mental problems. What is the ingredient? I know that resilience is something important, but what is the spark, I guess? Is there a spark? Because, yeah, we know the lessons. You need to have a product that solves a problem. It's scalable and all that. Do the diligence, do the validation part. We know all that. But when you push that away, is there like a super ingredient that you can recognize?
Yes, there are multiple, but just on the craziness part, yes, we are a bit crazy. If not, we would not be entrepreneurs. But everything big and beautiful in this world have been created by crazy people. Regular people will never be anything big and beautiful, right? And this is why our touches of craziness are essential to becoming an entrepreneur and even more to become a successful entrepreneurs. So to your question, how do I see entrepreneurs? So I used to be a business angel. Now I invest mostly, if not solely, in my own businesses. And how do I recruit my co-founders? First of all, I think that people need to be 100% dedicated. We have this problem, especially with younger generations, where people want to do a bit of everything. And I meet with 20, 25, 30 years old Romanian entrepreneurs and say like, oh, you know what? I do this business, that business. No. I said, you know what? You've lost me. If you don't, at your age, because you are 20, 25, you are not focused 100%, 7 days per week on your only project that you think matters, then you are scattered. You are because focus, and this is the idea, the notion of being focused. Focus is so important in entrepreneurship. Focus and dedication. My co-founders in Bonap, they are machines. You have no idea. Diego Roy-de-la-Chaise and Luka Zivkovic, these guys, they love the company. They are passionate about what we do. And of course, it's a few years very hard. And by the way, we should be careful about the burnout because it's a very tough, serious thing. So we need to support each other, etc. But it's a few years of sacrifices till a potential exit maybe, or till a moment the company will be big enough so that they will be able to delegate. So there is the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of working like crazy. But in the meantime, at the beginning, when you are building up something that needs to be big, you need to be 100% focused. You need, this is number one. Loyalty, I mean, is also super important in business. You know, my people, my business partner, there is no room for lying. There is no room for secret. And when we launch something, we are on the battlefield. We decide to fight. We are a brother of a military infantry group together, and there is full transparency all the time on absolutely everything. Betrayal, the betrayal is what I would hate the most in business. And at the end of the day, I think maybe the most important thing that I've learned in my career is reputation is everything in business. Your reputation is everything. So everybody who fucked me at one point, I didn't go to war. I didn't want to hurt them, but I know I won't do business with them anymore. And whenever asked me, or even if I'm not asked, I said, this person didn't behave properly with me, etc. And there is this karma in the world of business, especially in our small ecosystem, where people will get burned by themselves, and people things will backfire to their faces. Really, I mean, the human values and the morality of the people I need to do business with needs to be 100%. I'm super, super demanding with them, but in return, they are super demanding with me. I'm married, I have 3 kids, I said it, I'm involved in multiple businesses, but any time of the day or the night, if there is something on which I need to support one of my companies, I'm going to do it. It's one of the biggest priorities of my life. So they can expect in me as much as I can expect in them. But yes, once again, it shows that we are somehow a bit crazy. Are we going to live less longer than corporate people? Maybe, because we are overexposed to stress. But once again, I mean, I eat healthy food. I do sports every day. I'm trying to pay very much attention to my mind and my stress levels. So it's true that we are into this roller coaster. But life is so short. I want to accomplish big things, and I'm an entrepreneur. So my job and my vocation is to build big and beautiful things. That being said, something that I've been discovering a few years ago only, it's very recent, is we should pay attention not to use our brain only for business. It's good to have also those secret garden. I have friends who paint, I have friends who draw, I have friends who play an instrument. In my case, I'm bad at all those things, but I write. I wrote a science fiction novel. I have a copy for you. I will give it. Do you read French?
No, I'm sorry.
So you will keep it anyway, but
it's okay. I think I'll manage. Could you tell us what it is about?
Yes, named l'Hôtel Infini, so the Infinite Hotel. It's more than 200 pages science fiction. I'm a big fan of science fiction, and I wanted to write a book for many, many years. And it was a great lesson of humility. By the way, I didn't talk about humility. Humility is super important. Most people don't see me as very humble because I show my face in the media and on social media. But actually, humility is also one of the big lessons I've learned in my life. And the best exercise of humility was to write this book, because with no previous training in writing a science fiction book, it took me a lot of time to write it, but I wrote it. And then I had to present it to some French publishing houses.
Okay.
I sent my manuscript to 92 French publishing houses. And I'm a nobody in this world in Paris, right? So I said, come on, the guy don't answer, whatever. Because I can have pretty much access to anyone in the Romanian business world, corporate or startup, whatever, or VCs. But mostly corporate. In the corporate world in Romania, I can have dinner with any CEO, you know? So I was super surprised. Like, come, guys, I have this 200 pages manuscript. I send this to the... No one answers. I'm like, oh, come on. Problem like that is that French people all want to write. I mean, everybody wants to write in France. You know, especially since COVID, it's even more people. So everybody in France writes at least does an attempt of writing a book in their life. Last year, there were 88,000 books published in France. 88,000, right? So, finally, after sending over 82 emails following I had 5 positive answers from French publishing houses, all of them from Paris. I decided to sign with one, and that's great. I've received my copies. I'm going to distribute the French version in Kira Lina, and maybe we'll ask my friends in retail if in specific shops we can sell them. Of course, it's available for sale in Paris, bookstores and all across the country. So I'm super happy, but it was a humility lesson. And to my earlier point, it was a great way for me to escape a little bit from the business world and to use my brain for something else than my startups. And somehow, I think it was good not only for my brain, but also for my mental health.
Sure.
You know, because if not, you get obsessed. You know, you become a bit obsessed.
I know. I mean, side hobbies, they bring in so much value. I can even see it in in corporate culture that's being really pushed, you know. I mean, do also be your own self, and also express yourself in terms of talents and activities. So I know it's valuable because it allows you to, you know, deconnect with something that you're so focused on, and maybe also have a fresh perspective on things every time you get back and transition between the activities. And I also love music, so I'm passionate about instruments. Yeah, I play guitar. And I love it. It's a way to manifest creativity. And it's actually, you can transition a lot of elements from music to business. Yeah. And I've told that story to a lot of people, and they were like, really? Yeah, you can actually do that. Because music, especially composition, is like building a product. You need to take...
Find an harmony.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Grégoire. I mean, time I felt that 40 minutes went by so fast with you.
Already 40 minutes?
I think so, more than
I thought even. It was 15, 20 minutes.
No, it wasn't. So it was amazing, actually. I'm so proud that I had this discussion with you. And let's keep in contact. Maybe we'll do a second part next year.
That would be great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invite.